Before he was a big-time director, Christopher Nolan had humble beginnings with a low to no budget film called Following. I want to review Following because when I see people talk about Christopher Nolan, not a lot of people talk about Following, his first feature film, or I don't see a whole lot of reviews online for it, like YouTube videos. So that's one of the reasons I want to review this film.
It's a little less well known.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think enough people talk about it, and that's kind of a shame. You know, if you say he's your favorite director and you don't even really mention this film, how can you call him your favorite?
I think this is actually my favorite of his movies. To be to tell the truth.
So, I wanted to review this, so we watched it recently, and after we watched it, you basically...
Well, I had seen it once with you on Netflix a long time ago, but yeah, you got it for Christmas and we watched it again. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie. And then listening to the commentary, I'm like, it's a pretty inspirational movie. I mean, if you listen to what he has to say about how he made it, so yeah.
And his influence.
I went out and bought a copy because I like it that much. So, alright, so let's talk about this Blu-ray Criterion copy of Following. Now, for those of you who don't know, this movie is filmed in black and white, so keep that in mind when we do the review.
And that's why we're filming this in black and white.
Let's talk about the movie. Alright, so let's talk about this Blu-ray / there is a DVD Criterion cut, of course.
And there's a DVD copy that came out back in 2001.
So let's talk about the video. It's very crisp, very clean, but it is black and white.
Yeah.
So keep that. Oh, and the other thing you'll notice is it's full screen. I don't know exactly why it's full screen, if that's just what he could afford, if that is that 16 millimeter?
16 millimeter.
Is full screen by default?
I'm not sure.
See, that's the part I'm not sure about.
But I can imagine it'd be cheaper than widescreen.
Sure. But, so, that sucks a little.
Being white or full screen.
And that's what we actually have as a con, not widescreen. And what's the other big con you noticed on the video?
There's one scene I noticed for sure. There's like kind of a scratch going down, and there's another scene where there's in the corner there's a little hair, and it's kind of one of the things you probably wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. And once you do see it, you cannot unsee it, basically. Yeah,
you probably don't see it on your first viewing, but you will on your second and third, which is, I mean, we're well past that number now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, although we think the video quality has been improved greatly, and it has, it really has, there's just some minor blemishes, and I don't know, maybe they thought, let's keep those because that's part of the movie, that's what was there. I can sort of understand that, but at the same time,
yeah,
it would have been nice if they were cleaned up.
The video, and the video transfer was supervised by Christopher Nolan himself. He's done this on the 10th anniversary of Memento as well. So he really cares about his films and getting the quality. And maybe that's why he didn't have him remove the hair or fix the scratch, because he's not super big into digital enhancements later to his films.
And I don't even think, oh well, I wouldn't consider that. I consider that just part of cleanup.
Yeah. Well, and also like there's with the man with the golden gun, when they went back and fixed them, there was a scene there where like mirror shifts and you could see the camera man and all that in the crew, and they had the option to remove that, and they decided to leave that in. So it might be just kind of leaving it. Mostly how it was presented.
Preserving history.
Yeah, preserving how it was filmed, even some the blemishes. So
right.
It could be something like that. So with the Criterion, they went and did 5.1 remix of the audio, which works for the most part. I mean, it's not something you're gonna really notice like with newer movies.
Yeah, I don't think this movie was really designed to have this big, expansive soundtrack or audio experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's a low budget movie. I think 5.1 is just sort of the standard thing that everybody does at a minimum now. So I don't know. You have the 5.1 set up at home. Did you notice?
See, honestly, I couldn't say right off if I noticed. I would have to get another reading to see if I can really pick them up. But.
Yeah, I think I would have to watch it again with the setup and really listen. Maybe sit next to each speaker and just see what came through. Yeah.
I know, like, some movies, it's almost kind of eerie when you listen to 5.1. Like, you're not sure. It sounds like maybe there's somebody's behind you. I had this.
Yeah.
And you're like.
Oh yeah, I've had those reactions too. Especially, and I think I notice that more with when I'm watching older stuff that I watched on TV that, before I had this set up.
Yeah.
And then after I'm like, oh, where's that noise coming from? I don't remember that noise ever being there.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me on Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, when I was watching my DVDs. I could hear like slot machines in Quark's bar going on behind, like, I don't think that was there before.
Yeah.
So, not really much to say in the audio.
The audio can be quiet sometimes. Like, especially if you watch the movie with subtitles, there's a spot where the main character says no a bunch of times, and you really don't hear him saying no. You just hear see the subtitles going no, 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 no.
Yeah, I remember we had to turn on the subtitles for a few parts to hear exactly what they said in a few scenes.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to hear. And I don't think that's so much a problem with the transfer or the release. I don't know if they could have balanced it out better.
Well, I noticed that in newer movies too. Sometimes I have to turn on subtitles to hear exactly what they said for sure.
But I realize, yeah. So some of the audio issues that they have is a result of the low production value, or not production value, but the low budget that he didn't want to do ADR, which is basically re-recording audio on certain scenes.
Yeah, and you can see that throughout his newer movies too.
Although I think they could have balanced the audio out more. Again, that was probably just a choice on their part. So for what we do have for special features is the Christopher Nolan interview, which again is very good.
Yeah.
If you're actually interested in doing filmmaking at all, his commentary, his interview is worth listening to, because it actually gave me ideas on, if I ever wanted to make a movie, to kind of how to plan a low budget script. And I won't dive too deep into it, but
yeah, I just want to say about the interview. It was recorded back in December of 2010, so it was 2 years old. But so,
which isn't too bad.
It was an interview. It's like a good 20-minute interview done by the Criterion Collection
group.
Yeah, or the people responsible.
Right, and then so audio commentary. Then there's his Doodlebug short, which is a kind of a cool 2-minute video. I mean, it's clever. It's like everything associated with this movie is clever.
Yeah, and it's like short student film he made, or while he was at. He was an English major, but he was part of the film society there, and it's one of the films he shot while he was there, and it stars Jeremy
Theobald,
the main star, Fallen as the main star of Doodlebug.
All right. And then there's the linear cut of the film, which we haven't really watched yet.
And honestly, I don't know if I ever will watch the linear cut of the film.
Just because you think it'll ruin it?
Yeah, and it's not what... I know, I think he has to... When they do the linear cuts, he has to approve it, but still...
I might watch it just to see what it's about. But we haven't really watched it. And I will admit, I've been a little nervous to watch it.
I know there's one for Memento that was on special edition DVD.
Yeah. And you wanted to point out the article by some guy from the New York or whatever.
Film critic who wrote an article about Nolan, called Nolan Begins, which is included in the Criterion release right there. I haven't read that yet. I should.
Yeah, I started reading it a little bit, but yeah. He pretty much accuses the society of having ADD in one of his lines. And the other thing, well, so let's talk about packaging a little bit. It's a nice, clear package. Clear case. It doesn't have the stupid little Blu-ray insignia on the front. It's not the. I like blue. Blue's my favorite color, but I'm glad this isn't in a blue case. I think it would actually detract. One thing I noticed is there's some really weird chapter names. But I guess the fact that they actually, that's the thing about Criterion cuts that I'm liking in this day and age, is no one really takes time to do a nice case anymore or a nice release.
Or features. I noticed on this and my 12 Angry Men Criterion, the last chapters named the same. I don't get
color bars.
Yeah. So
I know.
I don't get what the deal with that is, but here's a little closer look.
Yeah, the chapters are weird. The following is my explanation. Can I buy you a drink? Getting protection. He's a sad fucker with no social life. They rifled through my underwear. The club. A model's apartment. B. He made a mess on my carpet. I must have a dog. The safe. I've thought it all through. The money. He's our man. That's it, unless you've got questions. And color bars.
Which must be a standard.
Is it just the black and white ones?
Well, I don't know. Does your Brazil have that?
I don't know. But that's not a Blu-ray.
Oh. Yeah. And here...
It does have some artwork.
Yeah,
some
and
pictures.
Just the book talks about transfer, and then special thanks, acknowledgements, and then production credits for the transfer. And then inside is, of course, the article.
And one thing I've noticed is, a lot with this release is, they'll have his, he'll be right side on one half, and then upside on the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you look at the insert, here's the young man, here's Cobbs. I like the juxtaposition, I would say.
Yeah, the design of it.
Yeah.
Like the kind of, this one reminds me kind of the Infinite Loop, following.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, of course, it just had pictures and credits and casts on the back.
So let's move on. Okay, so cons of this DVD extras.
Oh wait, we forgot to mention one of the extras was a slut script scene. Like they take 3 scenes from the movie and present the scene and the script and
side by side.
How it stayed the same and how it changed and compared to.
You've watched that all the way through, right?
Yeah. And I do want to say one of the things is that's what's missing from this release is on the 2001 DVD release, it had the whole movie with audio playing. It played the audio over the script, so you could listen to the script and read the script, or listen to the movie.
Yeah, so it just had the script in frame and it had the audio.
Yeah. And
of the movie as it was going.
And all of this has is 3 scenes. Comparing.
Which I kind of like I said, I kind of wonder if that's the 3 scenes that changed the most, and if the rest were more or less as it was worded.
I mean, sure you can go online and get the whole script, but I'm not sure that's how accurate, or if that's just a fan-made one.
I bet. Well, my guess is that someone listening to the audio and translating it.
Yeah. Or that might actually, I think you can buy them.
Well, maybe.
Alright. So yeah, it's out there. So if you really want to. Track that down, you can. And another thing that's missing is, like I said, the full script. And then the old DVD did have a bio section talking about the actors and director, but that's out of date by now. And you can of course, go online, read your website, Wikipedia, IMDb, and
find out what they're up to
about that information. So it's not.
So now we've really talked about the Blu-ray release or / DVD. I mean, we don't have the DVD. I imagine it's roughly the same quality.
Yep.
Just 480p. Well, let's move on to the more of the story and the plot. So the plot, we're not going to really dive into the plot because you just need to see the movie. It's neo-noir. It's black and white. It's kind of, it's one of those movies where actions speak louder than words. It's got a twist ending.
Yep.
So,
well, it plays on. You think we're being shown is kind of a twist, but wait until the end, and there's another twist, and it's, holy shit.
Yeah,
you don't expect that.
And I think that's what really sold this movie for him, is the double twist at the end.
Yep.
Alright, so let's just go kind of over our pros and cons that we thought of the plot. We thought the movie was very tight plot. The whole movie is only 70 minutes. It's very tight. Doesn't really feel like there's any wasted scenes or, area shots or anything like that. The other thing we noticed is it has very minimal names. There's names such as the young man, Cobb, the blonde.
No relation to the Inception, Cobb.
Right. The bald man, policeman. The young man, the only name you ever get for him is Bill. And you're not even sure that's his real name.
You get another name, I can't remember.
Oh, fuckhead, probably?
No. I think when he's talking to the blonde, he uses a different name. Because I'm pretty sure he uses two names in the movie.
Oh, that's possible.
But you never really get any of the characters, you don't get information about.
And I think what makes this movie somewhat mysterious is you don't know much about any of the characters.
Yeah.
And then this movie actually has some very good psychological questions, because the movie is about, a big theme it is about robbery. And the young man and Cobb go out and, they rob a few places. And Cobb's explaining to him why he does that. And he's, and apparently this happened to Nolan too, but it got him to think about, I have all this stuff, and now I have to replace it. What's really worth replacing?
Why did I want it in the first place?
Yeah, it really makes you think about why you had some stuff in the beginning. I almost, I kind of look at the stuff I have and I'm like, oh, if I was robbed, what would I really replace?
Why would you really want their rings?
I don't think I would replace them if they were robbed. Maybe. There's just a lot of stuff I look at.
Cheap again, or something.
I did find them cheap to begin with, but I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff I'm like, I don't think I would replace it. And that's a good question, and it does make you think.
Take it away and show them.
Yeah, so Cobb has that line, take it away to show them what they had. Yeah. And that's very interesting. And then Cobb's like, he talks about every house or everybody has a box full of their personal items, like a diary. And they want people to see it, even if they don't think they want people to see it. It's very personalized. And that box comes up again in the movie. It's the opening scene, because you see him rifling through this box. And if you look, again, if we go back to the insert here, it, is items. There's the box. And then you can see items that were in that box. The box plays a very important prop, because that's how Cobb gets the young man interested in the blonde, is by handpicking these items. So, and there it's kind of a mind game of, that's the thing, Cobb is always playing mind games with the young man. He's trying to get him interested in the blonde for part of the setup.
Yeah. I like, one of the main things I like the way it cut is it switches between time periods. Different. If you see Memento, it's kind of like that, where it cuts between two different time periods, with the main time period going backwards. Same with
Memento.
Same with Following.
Oh, Following.
It switches between three different time periods. So you actually see the effect before the cause, instead of the cause and then the effect, which I like. Like, there's a little wooden mannequin that the young man has in an apartment, and the blonde picks up and breaks in his hand, or breaks in her hand, and then later in the film you see how it got broken.
Huh! Holy shit! I did not catch that.
Yeah.
Wow! Holy shit!
Because basically there's a scene where they, the young man takes Cobb to rob his place so he can kind of learn more about himself in a way, and
well, he can learn more about himself based on what Cobb thinks of him.
Yeah, and Cobb picks up and drops it and breaks, and then that's how it gets broken.
Well, I just assumed it was broke in both scenarios, but now I get what you're saying. You see how it got, wow.
And then there's a bunch of little other elements like the earring, underwear, and which actually ties into the ending of the film.
And I know you disagree with me on this, but I think on the first viewing it can be a little confusing because it's hard.
I shall agree on that.
Because the first time you see it, it's a little confusing because you're trying to follow the movie, follow the plot, but you're also kind of have to constructing these timelines in your head. So I think it's definitely worth watching at least twice, minimum.
And it's such a short movie,
Yeah. You can easily watch it twice in the length of like what it would take you to watch. Not even the shortest.
Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. We didn't really have any cons, but we had some thoughts on the plot. That we didn't really follow the pro and cons formula. But you do need the conversation after. So Cobbs and the young man, they get in a fight. The young man loses, of course. But then he calls Cobb up again for advice later on, which you don't really pay much attention until you watch it the second time.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. It's like, oh, why would he call him?
Again, with the effect cause of the structure of the movie. He calls him before you see the fight, so that's why the second viewing you'd be like,
Yeah, and maybe that's just something that you kind of easily miss, just because of the order that you kind of don't realize. Wait, this conversation actually happened before. That's part of your mind constructing the timelines, and that's why I think it is a little confusing the first time you watch it. You have to watch it, a second and third time. Well, maybe just for us. I'm sure there's some really smart guy out there saying, "Oh, I got it all the first time." Good for you.
And that's I think a good mark of a movie if you can watch it again and get more out of it. So.
Well, yeah, you just brought up the thing about the mannequin or the doll. Yeah, I love shows I can watch at least twice, and get something different out of them.
Like that. We said that's a little odd.
But it can work.
You understand why Cobb's helping him, but you don't completely understand why he called, or Bill called, the young man called him in the first place.
Yeah, it's in Cobb's best interest to help him.
Film overall.
Yes. Okay, we thought the movie could be a little eerie at times, especially with the music.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Especially when the music goes in this high pitch.
Yeah, but it's eerie at times, and that's good. I think that's what really reels me in about this movie. It is a little bit frightening, or not frightening.
Offsetting, or off-center a little bit.
Offsetting is a good word. It's eerie, a little bit eerie. Let's see. We thought the guys that they got for Cobb and the young man, good chemistry.
Yeah. They worked.
It's a good kind of almost slightly awkward relationship, but you kind of sort of see this friendship. This kind of, I don't want to say friendship based on after you see the movie, but it works. So let's just put it that way. It works.
It's believable.
And let's see, the young man and the blonde. I really do feel like as watching this, he really cares about her. He has a genuine interest in this blonde, even though once you find out at the end that she doesn't really give two shits about him. Yeah, and she is a big reason why he does certain things in the movie, and it's because he really does care about her. Again, this is spoilers, but Cobb kind of generates this, tries to generate the young man's interest in her.
Yeah.
So, some more on the movie overall.
I like the fact when Nolan was writing the script, he knew he would not pretty much have a budget. He made this movie only for around $6,000, which is nothing compared to what some movies are made for.
Yeah.
And he knew that he was not going to budget, so he wrote so he could do it within the budget that he had. I mean, like, not using guns. Instead of using a gun, he used a hammer. No, he basically utilizes his and his friends' location, like apartments for locations.
Friends of friends, family.
Yep. And he got really lucky with a lot of the shots he did with people not looking into the camera when he was filming. I mean, there's, I think, once or twice in the whole movie where you kind of see something out of the corner of the eye look. Well, I know at the end, there's a guy I noticed that kind of
is just starting to look into the camera.
Looking at the camera before it fades it black. Or cuts to black.
Yep. Yeah, so that was my other note, is he keeps it simple. Simple costumes, simple props, simple locations. I mean, we're talking house, bar, rooftop,
cafe,
abandoned building, cafe. Well, it's a cafe, but I think it was actually the cafeteria of the place he worked at the time. But, he keeps it filmed so tight that
you believe it's a cafe.
Yeah, you believe it's some kind of nicer London cafe. And then there is one restaurant in there, which I think, again, these are a lot of these places he just, friends of friends that let him use the place before customers would show up.
He when he films Young Man, he kind of pulls back and just shows the empty space around him, and that kind of conveys the loneliness of this man and why he takes to following people in the first place. Hence the title, Following. Another thing I like about the way it's cut, and actually on first couple of viewings I didn't notice this, and it kind of annoyed me, but once I understand why he did it this way, it actually makes sense and I like it now. Is the film cuts between 3 different timelines, and when that happens, he cuts to black first for a few seconds to let the viewer know, alright, we're switching timelines. And at first I thought, that's kind of really annoying why he's cutting this, but once you understand that's what's happening, it makes sense. Now, it's a visual clue for the audience. And I guess you said you didn't notice that until I really pointed it out to you.
Yeah. I guess the other thing I had that you didn't necessarily agree with, there's that one scene where he shows the door in the bar, and it's got this unique door with all these circles, and then it shows him standing against a wall, like across the street, with his glasses. And to me, it just had this mystic quality to it. Like, you kind of knew that, like, it's almost like, call it foreshadowing, destiny, or whatever, but, you kind of knew that, that something was going to happen in there with him, and it does. Something that, the safe room of that bar and him. And to me, I just had this kind of this mystic, neo-mystic quality to it. Or not noirish, mystic predeterminism quality to it.
Yeah, I think that was just him kind of sticking out the area. And
you're right, it probably is just... I like that door, I like that scene, I like that imagery. I like it whenever he shoots that door because it is sort of this eerie, mystic, noir quality to it.
Yeah.
Forebodingness.
Yeah. And one of the things I like about the movies, and you will see this in later films by Nolan, is he has a very good sense of humor about stuff. I mean, it's not like the cheap joke, or he doesn't go for the cheap... for the humor. There is some humor in this movie, and it's well done enough. It doesn't feel cheap or...
I mean, just even the conversation between Cobbs and the young man, on the rooftop, there's some humor.
Yeah.
But it's well timed, well placed. Or, when he shakes up the can of beer without the guy seeing it, and, passes it to him. And that's the other thing I don't know if we really talked about. But, you get with this relationship with the young man and Cobbs, is that Cobb's kind of always being this real subtle dick to him at times.
Yeah.
There's definitely this antagonism that that the young man doesn't always witness himself, but us as an audience member can kind of see it, and you especially pick up on it the second time you watch it. All these times that Cobb's kind of being this ass to him, but you don't realize it.
So some of the cons we just have about the making of the film, you know, the fighting scenes were a little fake looking.
Yeah, they're a little soft. I mean, they weren't terrible. They didn't try to do anything too elaborate.
But you can definitely tell it was filmed and not, it doesn't feel like 100% real.
Right. Yeah, they look a little soft.
Yeah. And the music can sometimes be a little distracting, especially when it's that gets in a high pitch kind of music.
Yeah.
Cue.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not too bad.
But for the most part, the music's pretty good in it.
Would you say it being in full screen versus widescreen is a con? Or just one of those...
It's more or less... But it doesn't hurt the film, because... I mean, films before, like, the 50s were full screen.
It's just... Well, yeah, it's just weird seeing it, you know...
Somewhat modern film.
Well, it's just weird, you know, with everything that we have now, you know, with Blu-ray, big widescreen TVs, you know, it's just... To see a movie like this, especially a really good movie, be in full screen, it's like, oh, I wish it was widescreen. I wish it filled out my whole screen. But I don't know. I almost wonder if that helps with the tightness of the storytelling, you know, that you don't, you know, and his little... Maybe that was a choice. Maybe he did that on purpose, you know, so he didn't have to fill out the whole scene. You know, that let him have much more tightly focused shots.
Right.
And I guess the other thing, while we're kind of talking about production, is... You'll learn this in the commentary, and this is why I love the commentary so much, is he talks about how he filmed shots next to windows a lot of times to get, you know, to do natural lighting as opposed to try...
Well, and he talks about that in the interview as well.
Well, yeah, I know, he mentions it twice. So that's what I like. But at the same time, I do think at times it is a little bit too dark. I mean, there's times where you really don't see, you hardly see you know, the young man at all. I mean, it's often and it's seldom, and at times it does work, but at times it can just be really dark, visually or video-wise.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I did notice about the Criterion transfer is the blacks are more black and.
Yeah, just watching the DVD one a little bit today, just to make some comparisons. Because one thing, did you mention the title screen changed?
Oh yeah, the first few opening shots is somebody put on gloves, and then it says "Falling" on the original 2001 cut or release DVD, and it says "Falling," nothing behind it, just black. And on the Criterion, it says "Falling," and there's a picture of the box. The
box open with the items in it.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was who decided to do that. I'm assuming Nolan decided that was okay, or maybe that's originally how you intended. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's one thing we know.
I imagine there's 2 or 3 very slightly different cuts, you know, floating around of this. I mean, I'm sure he took it to film festivals and it got cut one way, and then he maybe, you know, got some interest and it got cut again. I don't know. Or, you know, maybe there was an early draft version, you know, I don't know, you know, for an initial screening with a few people, and then, you know, then there might have been the festival version or something.
So,
some final thoughts?
I just like to point out some of the connections. Trivia facts. On the young man's door, there's a bat signal, which is kind of what echo layer into him directing the Dark Knight trilogy, which is, and if you watch this one and watch Batman Begins, you might notice 3 of the actors from this have small roles in Batman Begins. It's the young man, the blonde, and the policeman, which is actually his uncle, the director's uncle, who plays
John.
Yeah, Uncle John. So, we're not exactly sure what we're going to review next, but we're going to make a video to let you guys know at least a week ahead what we're going to review, so you can
plan for it,
watch it,
popcorn,
play it. We talked about maybe doing a review of Stargate Universe
Oh yeah. Battlegate Universe, yeah.
You want to possibly talk about Star Trek New Voyages?
I do.
Shamu would be mine.
Yep.
8
85
and 5.
web series.
Web series. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. If you've seen Fallen, let us know what you thought of it, or what's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie, or your favorite low-budget film of all time. Until next time, see you guys.
Yep.